For the past 365 days, I've not touched alcohol. And as a young male in a country like Australia where there's a heavy drinking culture, this is kind of against the norm and your friends might crucify you if you made such a decision. I think it's been no coincidence that this year has been the best year of my life in terms of career development, life progress, general happiness, money made, friends, relationships, everything. So today I'm going to be telling you just how I did it, the impacts on my life, and maybe why you should be doing it too. So why did I do this all? Well, if you remember my YouTube videos from earlier in the year, I competed in bodybuilding. And if you want to look your best on stage, most shredded, aesthetic, swole, juicy, muscular, alcohol is a bit of a no-go. I remember when I started working with my coach 6 months before I hopped on stage, I asked him, now bro, what should I be limiting my alcohol intake to per week? And he almost laughed at me. He almost stopped working with me when I asked that question. He was like, alcohol, drinking, do you want to do that or do you want to win? So from there, I knew this is a decision I need to make. I'll get into why it's so bad for muscle gain a little bit further into the video. But basically, once that 6 months had lapped, I'm like, what do I do now? Do I drink 10 beers? And I'm like, I don't really want to. It's kind of getting wintertime. It's a little bit depressing. I don't think this is going to solve all my issues. So I just decided 6 months, that's a cool number. What if we make it 1 year for science and make a little bit of a video and see if my life gets any better? So why does it make your life better? Well, I found that every time I'd go out drinking, you know, I'd drink maybe 10, 20 drinks, not saying I'm a heavyweight, that's probably around mid-range there, but I would pick my moments and I'd get pretty damn blasted. And so you are out drinking that night, the next day you're going to be tired. The hangovers sometimes are worse than others. And then I found that lack or loss of momentum, productivity, focus, clarity will just flow onto the next 2 to 3 days. So in essence, you're really losing 2.5 days of productivity there, which for me, someone who's self-employed, doesn't have a normal job, if I don't make shit happen, I'm not paying rent, I'm not paying for my car, I'm not paying for the lifestyle I want. That is just something that cannot be happening. And I thought, you know, pros versus cons. I come from an economics background. It's a little fishy jumping there. The benefit is I get a little bit of a buzz. The cost is you got to pay for drinks and you lose a whole lot of productivity. Also, if you are someone that is struggling financially, it is probably one of the lowest hanging fruits that you can deploy. You know, you go out, you pay for an Uber, you pay for 10 drinks at the bar. It's probably $150, $200 there that you're doing once a week or however often you drink. Plus you would have increased focus and just maxing out your productivity stats to work on your career or side hustle or whatever. I think there's a massive financial gain there. And for me, this is a little bit unrelatable, but once I got into social media, I had a bit of a presence in my hometown. I'd be getting invited to all these events, free tickets, free booths, free entry. You can go. When I was single, you know, there's girls there, you can do whatever you want. They're giving you free vodka bottles, free drinks, drink cards. And I was, you know, getting lost in the sauce a little bit. And then I figured out, hang on, these drinks are free in monetary value, but what is the actual cost here? And the cost was I was losing the person or the value that actually put me here in the first place. And I think I was losing myself a little bit. Now, a little bit of context into me and my drinking history. I was a very weird teenager. I don't know why I was such a square, but all I wanted to do was be the best in my sport of soccer at the time and get the best marks possible because I wanted to either work for the Reserve Bank of Australia or become an investment banker and wanted to get the highest marks. So for some reason, that just meant I didn't drink. So I actually didn't try my first sip of alcohol until 3 months after year 12, my final year of schooling. I don't regret it at all, but I was a very socially weird kid. I mean, I would go to the study room during recess and lunch and not play with friends or, you know, doing whatever you do. I'd go and study. So I was honestly the weirdest fucking guy ever, but I don't regret it at all. It's just how I was. And you know, I could have my drinking experiences here and there. From there, I dabbled in the alcohol. I think I definitely picked my moments. I think the most I ever drunk was when I was in exchange for university. I became a professional drinker. I was in Malaysia, so stuff was very cheap there. Alcohol was very cheap. I'd go down to the local grocery store. I think it was a Target or equivalent, or it wasn't Target, it was some Malaysian version. And they would have these bottles of alcohol there. It was like vodka. And it was 30 ringgit, which is like a full bottle of vodka for 10 Australian dollars. I think that's the right conversion at the time. And for some reason, Gab at this point really indulged in his Ukrainian Russian heritage, and he would drink half to 1 whole bottle of vodka. No mixes, just straight. I would just be walking around like that. And I would just take it like a champ. And these days I can't even do a shot without gagging. So I don't know what came over me then, but that was kind of my history of drinking. From there, it kind of calmed down. It'd be every 2 weeks, once a month, once every 2 months. I'd pick my moments, but I wouldn't just have the 2 drinks. I'd be having 10 to 20 drinks, which is considered binge drinking. Wasn't great, but it was a lot of fun. Not to be a party pooper, but if you want to look aesthetic and shredded, then drinking a slab of beers with the boys on the weekend is probably the worst thing you do. And no offense, but the guys who are drinking a slab of beers on the weekend look like they do it too. It is a multifaceted degrader onto everything for muscle gain and aesthetics, right? Number one is it is a poison, right? You're basically poisoning yourself when you drink. And so your body metabolizes it with great priority. So it pushes back any fats, protein, carbs in there that your body actually needs to recover. And it's like, we got to get this alcohol the fuck out of our system. Studies show that a night of binge drinking can decrease muscle protein synthesis by as much as 37%. So if you hit a nice hectic gym session before that, the stimulus probably isn't going to be all that effective. You may as well have just gone in there and bloody twiddled your thumbs, mate. We all know how important sleep is for muscle gain, and so if your body is still metabolizing that poison, you can't actually get into deep or REM sleep there. So your night of sleep is going to be completely ineffective and is a big reason why you wake up so tired even after sleeping for like 10 hours after a night of drinking. The other ones there are you're going to be so tired the next day that if you do decide to hit a gym session, it's probably going to be lower in quality, less intense, less effective. Just the worst stimulus overall, which is not what we want. And then for me, I was a bit of a culprit of this. I'd go and smash 20 drinks on a night out. I'd go and get a HSP or a kebab or even order some Uber Eats and fall asleep, and then you wake up the next morning and there's a cold pizza at your doorstep. So the nutritional choices definitely aren't going to be as intelligent. One of the biggest topics is how do I not get peer pressured, or how do I make it okay with my friends and still have fun with them and not get judged by them for not drinking? And it's a question here, got asked a few times, but this one here is from Ben_Alberico13. How do you handle the peer pressure of people expecting you to drink with them? I think if your friends are judging you and making you feel bad and guilt tripping you for making this decision, I don't think you've got friends. I think you've got drinking buddies. You guys might know that I have spent quite a lot of effort curating the right people around me, the right energy. I don't want any energy saps or people talking smack about me or people who just don't want the best for me overall. So the people I do have in my life, once I told them this, were actually all very accepting, understanding and supportive of it. There may have been a few jokes here and there, oh, Gab, have a drink, this and that, but it was never really anything like, oh, we're not going to invite this guy because he's made this decision. They're all extremely supportive. One thing I will say that probably made it easier is having a girlfriend through this period. When you're single, it's probably a little bit easier. You go out to the club, you're drinking, meet your wife at the club, as they say. You know, me and my missus, we might go to bed at 10 p.m. on a Saturday night and watch a movie or do something else. So it does make it a little bit easier in that regard. In saying that, our first ever date was at a wine bar. We shared a bottle of wine, some extras too. The vibes were high, super easy to connect, made it very comfortable and fun. It was a great date, and shouldn't get much more of drunk anabolic Gabe from there. It was soberbolic Gabe, locked in, working towards his goals, on prep, eating meal prep. Been perhaps a little bit boring, but no, our relationship has been fantastic and it hasn't been reliant on partying and drinking. And actually, you know, we're in Denmark together now and traveling cool countries and doing cool things. So it actually strips away the fake bullshit stimulus and you have to find real stuff. I made a real point of, just because I'm sober, I'm not going to be missing social events and parties and festivals and music events. These are some of the most fun ever you can have with friends. And I think a really good sign of that was that if it's a good event, you can actually get away with being sober. There were so many festivals or DJs we saw where I was dead sober and I was honestly having the time of my life because I had the right people around me, the right music. I was having a bloody brilliant time. Whereas there were times where I was at events and being sober was absolutely painful. There was no alcohol to mask just how shit the event was. And the beautiful thing about being sober is I could drive, my car was parked around the corner, and if I wasn't enjoying it, I'd just get up and leave, to be honest. But my strategy with going to these events, and this is not advice, but you guys know I was a bit of a fan of the Zins, the nicotine pouches, so I'd be running those on a night out and having soda waters too. So you're not awkwardly standing there with no drink in your hand there, just twiddling your thumbs, being a weirdo. You got a soda water there. It could be anything in there. It could be tequila, lime soda. And I would get home being the most hydrated man in Melbourne. I'd knock down 12 soda waters. I'd be pissing the clearest streams you'd ever seen. And honestly, it was a pretty goated combo. So if you're thinking about doing the sober streak, the Zins probably aren't amazing for you. I think they are the lesser of all evils when all things are considered. That was the combo I was running. Now we'll throw it to a bit of a Q&A from some questions you guys asked on Instagram. Hugo Maxwell asked, do you miss getting drunk at all? And to be honest, yeah, I'm not going to stand here with my head in the sand. Getting smashed with your mates, being absolute idiots, you know, when you're single, talking to girls or just playing jokes with each other. It was honestly a lot of fun, but I think that was a time in my life where I've been there, done plenty of that. And this phase of my life was completely necessary to get ahead and find what I really wanted to do in life. So yes, I miss it, but I'm also very aware of the cost versus the benefit here. Kai.R06 asks, what's your experience with being able to retain muscle and your ability to build muscle in the past year? For me, I think I progressed my physique so much. I'll have some comparison shots up here. I just think my conditioning got so much better. Because alcohol was completely removed, I was able to really target and bring up weak points on my physique and build muscle in there. So I think my physique just progressed so much, to be honest. Phoenix.Brown asks, what's the closest you've been to breaking it? And that's an interesting one. I don't think I was ever really that close to breaking it, but there was one specific time. It was the EHP Labs Gala. This was the first year they've invited some of the athletes down. So they flew me, Kalani, a bunch of other boys in, a bunch of the big fitness girls. And these are all fitness people, right? We're all kind of on the same page about not drinking. But this night, everyone was drinking. And I was the odd one out. They were buying bottles of champagne, cocktails, whatever alcohol you wanted, and everyone was drinking. I was dead sober, and I was like, I'm actually really tempted to drink here. But I was like, no, I can't just make a split decision like this. I promised myself that I'm going to be doing the 1 year, and when I do drink, I actually want to document it and make a good video out of it. So it can't just be off the whim like this. Brooklyn Vara 569 asks, will you ever drink again? And I think this is a good question to close out on, because it is almost 1 year. It's been a few days short, but I think for science, we need to run a bit of a night out, either with the lads or with my missus. We're in Europe here. Let me know what country we should be hitting, but this is going to be a scientific documentation on a very anabolic man drinking for the first time in a year, seeing if I vomit after 2 drinks. Let me know what drinks I should do it with, what country, what beers. I do like my beers. Maybe I'll go fly to London and go out with Liam Dowling. He's a bit of a notorious drinker. I think it'll be fun just going out to a bunch of bars, bring the GoPro or the Sony and document it and get a little bit silly, and then see how the hangover is the next day, and then let you guys know if I'm going to be drinking in the future, which I don't think I will be very much. Bit of a different video for you guys today, but let me know if you did enjoy it. I'm going to continue enjoying beautiful Denmark here, guys, and thank you very much. Mwah.